Hey guys, it's your boy Silver, and welcome to another episode of Silver Senpai Rants. This is now episode 2, and this is basically a series where I talk about, different movies, animes, manga, comic, anything within pop culture that I'm experiencing, going through, and I incorporate sometimes a couple of things going on in the world. And let's see how this experiment continues. Not sure if you guys are listening in, but if you are, cool, let me know in the comments. So, Masters of the Universe, or He-Man, like I like to know it, because I was born in 85, and probably one of the first cartoons that I remember watching growing up was He-Man, but I watched them in Mexico. Yeah, I was born here in the States, but I grew up in Mexico, in Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, which is a border town here south of the US. And yeah, I got to see He-Man in Spanish. No, they did not call him El Hombre. They call him, it was just He-Man, right? But the voice actors brought a really cool character, give him a really cool character. Like his personality was great. He sounded, manly and cool, like every single little boy likes to hear their heroes to sound like back in the 80s and 90s. So they did a really good job. It wasn't until much later in my life that I got to listen to what He-Man sounded like in English. But nonetheless, some of the best memories I have growing up is watching He-Man and seeing this cool dude just turn into this like huge muscled guy and have the power and have this cool sword, and then have this awesome tiger, which I like tigers, so I was like, oh hey, cool, hey, I like everything about this guy. Tigers, swords, big muscles, and I'm sorry to say it, but really hot girls in the show. So yeah, it was hitting it all for me. So I really enjoyed He-Man, and the messages were always good. Take care of your friends, fight for what is good, and save the day, And Master of the Universe, this movie that they remade for 2026, it puts it out there, it puts a message for sure. The director Travis Knight did a all right job to go ahead, and I'm sorry to be rude, right? I'm not saying all right, I'm not gonna say it's the best, but it did an all right job because it really did hit a lot of the nostalgia with a lot of things, a lot of big details, right? From the costumes to the sword to the battle cat to Man at Arms, Evil Lynn. Tila looked great. Tila looked very great, but I'm not going into detail on that. And it doesn't matter what I think at the end. Box office says otherwise. A lot of y'all did not enjoy this movie, and I get it, right? Who is this movie made for? Right? It's definitely not a movie that's made for kids. It's a movie that's made for all of us old millennials. Let's just be completely transparent, but that's fine. Because guess what? We are the ones that pay the movie tickets. We're the ones that have the money right now. We have the power. And that is why this movie was made for us. Strictly us. And a certain group of millennials, for sure. But not big enough for the movie to be doing great in the box office. The story is about Adam, Prince of Eternia, from this other world and this not alternate realm or anything, but it is definitely across the universe. And he is this weak little kid, right? And that's how the movie kind of starts off, kind of telling us that he's this little peepsqueak kid who is not very good at fighting and training, and he gets made fun of by everybody, even though he's the prince. I mean, in a way, it's like kudos for being in a kingdom where like you can like punk the prince and not get your head cut off, but also kind of like, all right, man, that's the prince. So, everybody makes fun of him, but he has his one best friend, played by Camila Mendes, Tila. Tila is a very loyal, very good friend, takes care of him, is always looking after him. For the most part, it almost looked like she had like a little romance thing going on when they were kids, but I don't know. That's how the movie kind of sold it to me. And Man-at-Arms, played by Idris Elba, he also kind of teases him and doesn't expect much from him, but he does, to a point, take care of him and is doing his best to raise him to be a man, to be strong, to be the new leader of Eternia. And all of that kind of goes to the trash because Skeletor attacks and basically destroys all of Eternia. It just catches them all offhand. Nobody is able to respond on time. They get wrecked. And it's kind of disappointing because you would think that, they have the Sword of Power, literally right across from the kingdom in Grayskull. That's literally right there. I would think that as the king, he would maybe, I don't know, go get the sword, turn himself into He-Man, and then, fight off Skeletor. But no, the king, Adam's dad, was a pushover, a very toxic guy too. You'll see if you give this movie a chance. The dad, even though they get their butts kicked, the dad was not a good dad. He was very toxic with his dad. He wanted it with his son. He wanted his son to be manlier, to be stronger, to be, just not what the kid was right now. And it's not fair because we're all born different and we're not all born to be kings or fighters or leaders. And this kid was Prince Adam was a much gentler soul. It definitely added a lot of insecurities and a lot of other emotional damage. Anyways, so Prince Adam survives this entire ordeal. They basically get him to go to Grayskull. He gets the sword, he escapes, and then he gets kind of transported across the universe to Earth with us. And he starts over and he grows up and he becomes this dude who is obsessed with a sword. He may be a good looking guy, but then once he opens his mouth and he starts talking about how obsessed he is with the sword, everybody basically thinks he's crazy. And that's kind of what we see in his life. He's living with one roommate who just, he's just happy he's paying the rent. The roommate's a pretty cool guy because at least he does check in on him more than many roommates would. And it's not too bad. They have a pretty good, amicable relationship. At some point, Adam finds the sword because when he got launched into Earth, he lost hold of the sword. Somebody found it and they stuck it into a giant prop of what looks like Conan the Barbarian. And he finds the sword and he tries to get it out from the comic book shop where they have the statue, and he gets into a lot of trouble because he basically stole from the comic book store and caused a whole scene. The police cuff him and they're taking him down to the station, but they get interrupted because a giant beast man is assaulting the entire city, is causing this traffic. It's basically looking for the sword because for whatever reason, the energy of the sword, the signal got activated or something, probably when Adam touched it, and now Skeletor is out to find the sword. Yeah, because that's what a Skeletor's one is. Skeletor wants the sword. He thinks he can turn into He-Man too and be all powerful. Long story short, Adam gets out of the cop car. He gets the sword. Teela comes to rescue him. They go back to Eternia and all to find out that, everybody in Eternia is now living on the underground and trying to stay out of trouble. And they're trying to get back at Skeletor, but they all seem to be pretty lost. Also, Man-at-Arms is now a drunk. Yeah. So he is not doing good. Even though Teela and Adam try and help him out, the dude has a lot of also emotional baggage because he was not able to defend Eternia, even though he was in charge of the defense of Eternia. He got whooped pretty badly, sadly. And that cost him a whole lot of issues, and he became a drunk. Skeletor figures out that Adam and the Sword of Power are back in Eternia, and they try and get it back. And that doesn't go as well as they expected it, because Adam finally eventually figures out how to use his sword, turns into He-Man, kicks their butts, runs away a little bit more. And then there's this very awkward scene where, he kind of basically tries to confess his feelings to Teela, and then Teela just friend zones him in the most awkward and painful way you can imagine for it to happen on a movie. And I feel for him. That was rough, dude. Hopefully it's something that it's like temporary, because her priorities are, hey, we need to get Eternia back in place, and then maybe we can talk about romance, which cool, very cool. But I'm just saying, them growing up, it kind of showed they had a little thing going on, but now it isn't. I don't know, kind of confusing. I totally get why Adam felt, that's how it went, but it is what it is. They engage Skeletor. They try and save the king, which apparently was still alive, and the queen. Turns out king gets wrecked and dies. This affects Adam a little bit more. Mom's still alive though, so that's cool. I don't really care for the king. The guy was very emotionally abusive, and then tries to take it back when he finally meets Adam, says, oh, no, I just wanted this for you. Yeah, dude, whatever, man. You emotionally damaged your kid wanting him to be a man at the age of 12. Come on, man. The heroes of Eternia gather as they're all jailed and the sword is taken from them, and they're able to break free once they have this kumbaya HR moment that Adam uses from his time in corporate America to rally them all up. So they're able to find a way to get out and confront Skeletor one last time, while Skeletor finds out that he cannot get it up. He cannot get that sword up at all, because no matter how many times he tries to call on the power of the Sword of Power, it just does not work for him. And that gives Adam and the heroes of Eternia the opportunity to fight him and win the day, just like the old days. We get to see also Battle Cat, but not in full armor until the very, very end of the movie. We then finally see him in full armor, which I was really upset, because I was like, man, good opportunity to be getting some cool action scenes, but I understand budgets, etc. FX, everything costs money. Should you watch this movie? Yes. Is it worth it? Of course. Will you really enjoy it? I think it's going to be a good nostalgia movie to definitely watch that will bring back a lot of memories for you, like it did for me. It's not the best movie out there, but it's a good movie. So let me know what you guys think. Please tell me in the comments what your thoughts were on this. And since you're there already in the comments, please don't forget to hit that subscribe, follow, like buttons. I would really appreciate it. Nos vemos.